Yes, that's right. Welcome to LSM Live ONLINE. I'm so glad that you've joined us, that you've chosen to be here on a Wednesday night. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for being here. I am seeing the chats right now on my computer. Man, you guys really ate up that countdown clock. I got to know a little bit more about what you guys are doing, so thanks for the insight. The only thing I would rebuttal against is there was a hiking and a biking one, and I'm like, what about mountain biking? Is that okay? That's one of the options I would give. But regardless of all that, hey, I want you to comment below. I am so glad that you're here. I want to know that you're here. It's really important for us to know that you are here, that you're known, and that your adult leaders can come in and just love on you. If you're brand new here, you've never been a part of what we do here at Linwood Student Ministries, I want to tell you, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the risk and joining us online. My name is Zach. I am the Next Gen pastor, and Linwood Student Ministries is for everyone. We've realized that, yes, we do ministry for grades 6 through 12, but this is really a family night event, and I'm glad that you've decided to join us for that. So comment below. Make sure you tell us where you're at, and I got a little bit of a question of a day. The question of the day is this. It's not really for a gift card. It's something I've been mentally thinking in my head. Are you ready? For the summertime, I've been playing with this idea. If we can pull this off and we can do it safely, I want to know what you think. Ready? What if we did breakout groups, which happens to be our, it happens to be the age specific, so like a middle school girls, high school boys. But what if we did breakout group summer sessions where they were focused smaller groups on a skill? So if you want to learn how to woodwork for 4 weeks, we have a summer breakout group session for that. If you think that's a cool idea, I need to know your ideas. So that is the question of the day. If we did breakout group summer sessions and we could do it safely, what type of skills would you want to learn? Is it how to play board games? What type of, have a board game, like you tried different things? Or would it be a crocheting thing? What would it be? Cooking. I want you to comment below of what you think. Give me some ideas. Allow that to just marinate a little bit as we continue on. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We've got a fantastic experience for you. Not only do we have live but not live coming up, we've got last week's Wheel of Doom that we've got to revisit. We've also got an interview with an upcoming grad that we've got. And finally, we've got a message from Jana from Grace Point. Oh, she's talking about what it means to be brave enough to worship. And of course, we conclude it all with our very own student leader, Slater, and our worship leader from Linwood, Michael, leading us in worship. We've got a jam-packed experienced. I know you're going to like it. Let's dive into our first segment that we've got. Remember, we had the Wheel of Doom that Dawson and Chantel lost the Amazing Race. And so they had to spin the Wheel of Doom. This is the result of that. Enjoy. Both of you will get the same punishment. Go ahead and spin that wheel. Things are going crazy. We might die.
Oh no.
I'm pretty confident it's going to land on Pastor Zach.
Oh no.
Oh no. No.
No.
Yeah! We got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, they will need to join me for CrossFit with Pastor Zach. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to your punishment. Your Wheel of Doom landed on CrossFit with Pastor Zach, and this is our CrossFit. Chantel, I do have some good news, but I also have some bad news. Oh, I like the warning paint, Austin. Chantel, the good news is this workout will only be 15 minutes long. The bad news is it's going to be a painful 15 minutes.
Oh no.
The workout of the day is called Death by Cards. Here's how it's going to work. We have a standard 52 card deck, and we are going to pull one card at a time, and whatever the card says, we do that workout. Hearts are push-ups, spades are sit-ups, diamonds are squats, and Clubs are ups and downs. Jacks equal 11, queens are 12, kings are 13, and aces are 1 because I'm a nice guy. But we do that workout for 15 minutes. Remember in CrossFit, what I believe is you're competing against yourself. You're not competing against other people you're working out with. We work together as a team. We work hard. We go all out. It's only 15 minutes, but we're not competing against it. So Chantel, don't compare yourself to Dawson. Dawson, don't compare yourself to me because I won't compete against you. You're going to be too amazing at this. You ready for this?
All right.
Here we go. Starting the clock. 15 minutes is on the clock. First, ace of hearts. 1 push-up. 9 of hearts. 9 push-ups. Next one. 6 push-ups.
Are you kidding me?
You got it, Chantel.
I'm getting grabbed on my hand.
3 up-downs. 8 of diamonds. 8 air squats. Boom. 10 of hearts. 10 push-ups. Good job, Chantel. You're doing great. 4 push-ups.
Oh, goodness.
You're doing great, Dawson.
Oh.
Here we go. Here's your next one. 2 air squats. Remaining. 11 push-ups. All right, Dawson, finish it out for us. Up, down. All right, that's time.
Great punishment.
34. We completed 34 people.
Wow.
That's impressive. Well, that's the Wheel of Doom. It's not really a punishment. I just made you healthier, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
Dawson,
My
thank you
face is all red.
apart. Warrior paint and all.
Oh, I even got some on my leg. Look at this.
All right. With that, we're off to our next segment. Oh, you're not going to want to miss this next game because this is called Generation Battles. This is for both adults and teens. Man, this is an exciting game. Most of the time I've been seeing that our families have been competing against each other, so we've created a game that you literally compete against each other. Here's how the game's going to work. I'm going to have some questions that are just for the teenagers. They're going to be easy questions for the adults to answer, but they're not for you. It's really for the teenagers to answer. And then same thing, teenagers, there's going to be questions for the adults. Teenagers, it's going to be easy to answer. But for the adults, it might be difficult. I've got varying degrees of gift cards. For the first question, I'm giving away a free Redbox gift card, and we move up from there. We've got some Juice Stop gift cards, and then the cream of the crop, everybody's golden cup of the Starbucks gift card. You guys ready to play? Let's get serious. The first person in the right category gets the gift cards. For question number 1 for the Redbox gift cards, this is only for teenagers to answer this question. Teenagers, good luck. Adults, have a snicker. Let's see if they can figure this out. Teenagers, here's your first question. What TV show is this? Oh, you can't be mistaken by the mustache of greatness. Can you name this TV show? I'm not even sure if my parents watched the TV show. Reese is not correct. Tiger King is a terrible answer, but no, not correct. You've got 7 seconds left. Look at this. Students cannot figure this out. Nobody knows this one. Look at this. The answer is Magnum PI. Who knew this? Yeah, I can see my adult leaders coming in. You just didn't know for sure. All right, adults, it's your turn. Get those fingers ready. What game system is this? This is only for adults. Teenagers, don't answer the question. For a Redbox gift card, what is this game system? Sorry, Keaton. Can you hear me now? It looks like, there you go. Amanda took the answer. My own bride wins the round for everybody. She wins that with the Nintendo Switch. Yes, Amanda, you win a Redbox gift card, which means I win a Redbox gift card? I don't know what that means. Is there a flaw in the game? All right, adults, let's dive into this. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 2. For just teenagers, what is the brand of this jacket? I've seen this jacket several times in Goodwill. I want to know if you can figure out what brand this jacket is. Man, I'm getting a lot of question marks happening here. Looks like a lot of students don't know their parents' days. The North Face? No, you're way off base. Way off base, people. I can see my adult leaders just squirming a little bit. There you go. There's the answer. Nobody got it for the Juice Stop gift card. I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It is the members only. Any adult leaders, did they know that? I'm just curious if adult leaders knew that. All right, here we go. You ready for my adult leader question? Adult leaders, here we go. Adults, I want to know, who is this celebrity? Write it down quickly. Who's the first one to get it? Who is this celebrity? Pastor Mark has no idea. There you go. Margie takes it in just for the kill, right under Christy. I am so sorry, Christy. You were just a millisecond behind. Congratulations, Margie. You are getting a Juice Stop gift card. I should write that down. Here we go. Margie. Fantastic. All right, students, you need to redeem yourselves because right now, the adults are just schooling you right now. Let's do this. Here we go. Teenagers, here's your question. What fast food company is this? Tell me the fast food company. And it's kind of ironic right now. If you think about it, what's happening on the news, if you've been paying attention, this is for a Starbucks gift card. Burger King is not it. I'm not sure if Christy's answering the question, if one of the students are answering the questions. I'm just going to assume it's either Dawson or Aida that answered the question to Wendy's. If that's the case, congratulations. I'm going to give a $5 gift card. You're just going to have to tell me which one answered the question correctly, Christy. Was it Dawson or was it Aida? Alrighty, we are down to our final question. Adults, get ready, get on your keyboards. Here we go. What do you call a humorous image video or piece of text that is spread around virtually? What is this? What do you think it is? We got memes coming in here. There you go. I believe the winner goes to Pastor Mark just by a hair. A meme is correct. And I got you down, Aida, for the gift card for the teens one, so congratulations there. Man, adults just nailed it. Way to go, everybody. Hey, thank you guys for playing. I hope you enjoyed that game. I enjoyed just seeing you guys compete, and I got to give it up to my adults. You guys care more about everybody else than my students. I'm kidding. I joke. You guys really proved yourselves. Way to go. Thanks for playing. Thanks for interacting with us and enjoying this with us. As we move on to our next segment, guys, I want to give a special plug to our student leaders. I cannot speak highly, just how high I speak about them because they are amazing leaders. They dedicated their time, their energy to be here. All the live but not live segments, make sure you show them some love in the comment sections. Like, thank you, student leaders, to Dawson, Chantel, Aida, Nate. Show them some love. Thank you so much for doing all this. In fact, do you realize we've got only one more LSM Live, and then we're done for the school semester. And we move to summer break. And during that time, we start gathering applications for our student leadership team. If you've been sitting here thinking, man, I want to be challenged. I want to be challenged spiritually. Man, I want to be able to step up to the plate and be a leader for my community, my youth group, and be able to grow and walk in my faith with God. Maybe I'm talking to you specifically. And so if that is you, would you sign up and apply to be on our student leadership team? There's a link right here, and if you've got your phone and you've got the Church Center app, you can register directly from the Church Center app by just applying for registration, and you click SLT application, and it's all right there. This application is for people who are not currently in the SLT program. So for the eligible ones, such as Chantel, Dawson, and Aida, they're going to have to reapply through another application. It's called the reapplication of SLT. But for anybody that's currently not on the team, and you want to be on the team, would you sign up? Will you take a screenshot of this? Whatever it takes, we want to see you grow. We want you to be a part of this team. I'm telling you, you're going to get challenged, but it's super rewarding. Talking about rewarding, I hope you enjoy this next segment of Live But Not Live. Enjoy, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Hey! Welcome, everybody, to Live But Not Live. I've got Aida, I've got Dawson, I've got Chantel.
And Nate.
And Nate. Are you guys ready for today's game?
Yes.
Out of all the games so far, Chantel, what's been your favorite game?
Probably the scavenger or we had
The Amazing Race.
No, not that one. The first game.
The Cool Relic Bro?
Yeah.
Cool Relic. Well, what about you, Dawson? What was your favorite game so far? That's a good thought. Aida, what was your favorite game?
The Amazing Race.
You like The Amazing Race, Dave?
The Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race. All right. Well, I've got some good news, everybody. Here's the good news. Your clock starts now because it is time for Cool Relic Bro! Find your relic, go! Wait, how did we get to this moment of panic? Well, to explain that, we need to rewind all the way back to our first challenge. I'll explain how this game's gonna work. Every student leader has been given a spare key, master key, into the entire church. Do you guys know that in 1963, Linwood Wesleyan Church was established? And since that time, we have collected lots and lots of relics. It is your objective to find the coolest relic that is here at Linwood Church. The person that brings the worst relic as a presentation for all of us will spin the Wheel of Doom.
Oh, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10 minutes is on the clock. Your timer starts now. Make sense now? Cool. By the way, Chantel lost the first round of Cool Relic Bro. Let's proceed on. Your clock starts now because it is time for Cool Relic Bro! Find your relic, go!
We're back, baby! Up is the way.
Okay,
You wanna help me?
I know
Yeah, do you
what
wanna-
I'm doing.
Do you wanna not vote for each other?
Okay. Where do I go? This time I know not to grab a beach ball.
Hey, can we grab the pew? No. How heavy is this thing? Should I grab it?
So the funny thing is, I have no idea where to go. So we're just gonna go wherever I feel like it. Wait, I'm going the wrong way.
Gotcha. Really hope this isn't pegged on there.
And we are going to the gym closet. Oh golly, dark rooms. Shoot, why did I go in there? Let's go find something. Let's work together because we don't have that much time. What out?
Yes, it does. Lift it up. I just went through.
There's just a whole bunch of stuff. It smells like kettle corn. It smells good.
I'm gonna grab one of these.
Keep lifting.
Oh, all the way up?
Yeah.
You guys do that, you have to bring it back up later.
Can I just use it?
What?
Can I just use it?
When do you use it?
A picture or something.
No.
Okay.
That's way heavier than we
I need help with a different thing.
Five, 4, 3, 2.
I'm gonna lose this challenge again.
You guys are late. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you found a cool relic. You had no idea this was coming. You knew the game, you knew the rules. Well, let's get into it. There is, however, a penalty to be assessed because 2 individuals were not here when the timer was out. We'll talk about the penalty in just a little bit. But for now, Chantel, as the reigning champion of losing this game, tell us what's your relic.
I brought this picture. It's a picture of a person again. But this picture means a lot because it represents the middle school girls, and it just like represents our church. So.
I like it. Aida, why don't you show us your cool relic?
Okay, I got the communion plates because they take place every month, I guess that first Sunday of every month. And they're just really important because there's a lot of symbols in there, as that's something that, or a step you take if you have become a Christ follower, or if you believe in him, and we've been using them for a lot of years.
I like it. Mr. Torno, would you like to show us your relic?
I brought back the prayer request cross that people write on. It's very important.
Pop it up so they can see it again.
Very important to each and everyone in our church, because Pastor Mark, and not only Pastor Mark, but everyone prays over these. And it's very important and secluded to everyone else because they write down prayers that hopefully can be answered by our Lord and was made by one of our members of the church as well. So it's very important to each and every person in this church.
That is a cool relic. All right. Dawson, you got a cool relic you want to show us?
I do. Rug. God keeps. And it's very comfortable. And also it's a rocking chair. You can play your guitar, hold your babies. It's a great chair.
You have so much experience in holding babies.
Yeah, 6
Oh my goodness. Alright, I told you that there are penalties for arriving late after the time limit. The 2 people that have faced that penalty is the very own Chantel and Aida. You did show up after the time limit, and so the penalty is usually you get to take a vote on who has the worst relic. You have lost your right to vote. So it's now down to Nate and Dawson. Who has the worst relic? Don't share. Talk. Write down the worst relic. Nate, who did you vote for? Show your board. Aida. 1 vote for Aida. Dawson, who did you vote for?
The one and the only.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aida will now have to face the Wheel of Doom! Aida, congratulations on winning such a phenomenal award. Chantel, would you mind taking off your crown and placing it on Aida? Congratulations, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back in the studio for live, but not live. See you later. Aida, what happened? You fell apart at Cool Relic. You thought your communion dish was gonna do it, but you fell apart because of the time penalty. Tell me about that. What happened? How did you not get back to the youth center in time?
We walked.
That was super lame. Yeah. Absolutely super lame. All right, Aida, you know the drill. It's time to spin that wheel. Here we go. Where will you land in the Wheel of Doom? There's some. Which option do you not want?
Sign taker of positivity.
Because you don't want to be positive to people. We all caught that loud and clear. We're still moving. It's still moving. Pizza order.
Yes.
Alrighty, that means Aida's got to make a pizza order, and she's going to send a pizza to somebody like you. Comment below if you'd like a pizza, and Aida's going to make an order. Tell us what you want. Aida, congratulations. You're going to make somebody happy today. We're going to send you a pizza. And with that, let's go to our next segment. Oh, snap. Somebody is about ready to get a pizza. Remember, I told you, you need to comment below to let us know you're here. And if you commented before live but not live, I've got your name, and it's going to go right to somebody's house. Who is going to be our winner? The winner of the pizza order delivery is, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Daytona and Sarah are getting a delivery right to their house. Congratulations. Oh, that was kind of exciting. Should I do it again? I don't have the budget. I didn't plan to do this, but I kind of want to hit the button again. Keen says spin again. Everybody's saying spin it again. Let's get ready. Who's going to land? I'll do it again because this is a lot of fun. I'm just giving away pizzas. Pizza. For the second and the last time that we're going to do it. Here we go. Oh, you already won. You won 3 times. Something's wrong with this machine, but they won. So, hey, congratulations with that. I am so excited for Sarah and Daytona. Once I get off here, I'm going to send you guys a pizza and get you guys set up, ready to go. With that, I've got an awesome interview coming up with a recent grad. Take a look as we watch this interview together. Hey everybody, welcome to Talking with the Grad. I've got a special treat for everybody today. I've got an amazing high school grad that has joined us on the stage today. Will you welcome the one, the only, Kaylee to the stage. Hey Kaylee, how you doing today?
Good.
Good, fantastic. Kaylee, I want to tell you that, hey, we've missed you. I hope you're doing well. Let me know a little bit about your homework load. How has your homework load been since you've been quarantined to your house?
It's been a little bit difficult, but it's good.
So here's a real surreal question to ask. Has it become so apparent to you now that you are a graduating senior? Has that come to your mind yet? Like, you're graduating pretty soon.
Oh, well, I like it actually because, I don't have to wake up early.
Amen!
Yeah.
All right, so give me that scoop. Are you one of those that are waking up at like 10, or are you one of those that are waking up at like noon?
10.
You're waking up at 10. Okay, well, passable.
Yeah.
In my world, maybe not so much, but passable for you. I'd be okay with it. But you like sleeping in?
Yeah.
So does
Yes.
that mean that you stay up late at night, maybe way later than you're supposed to?
Yeah, I do. I stay up late.
What's the latest that you stood up late since COVID-19?
I would say 10.
10 p.m.? That's late for you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I take medicine at night to help me fall asleep.
That knocks you out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
See, for me, late would be like, if I'm past midnight, something's wrong. So, That was so what it meant for you, for me. Kaylee, let's pivot a little bit. What are your future plans? I know the people that are watching this, they want to know, what are your future plans?
Well, I have to go to this thing called community campus first. And then after that, I want to go to college. And I want to be a phlebotomist.
Oh. Can you tell people online what that is exactly?
Well, it's you draw blood.
Yeah.
That's mostly what it is.
Basically, absolutely, yes. That is such an interesting but awesome career. I hope that goes well for you. Way to be focused on that dream, going with that. In first grade, I want to tell you a little bit about me. You may have known this or not, but in first grade, there was an assignment that they posted on the wall afterwards, the first grade classrooms that you have. And the question is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wrote down the Red Ranger because that's a really attainable goal. I felt like being a Red Ranger. Do you think I'd do good as a Red Ranger?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. So Power Rangers all the way for me, that's what I was. When you were in first grade, what did you want to be? Well, give me some feedback on that.
Oh, that's actually a good question. I don't really remember. I'm just taking a guess. I would probably say maybe like a cop or something. I don't know.
So you thought back in the time that you were going to be a cop.
Yeah, I don't know though.
That's awesome.
It's just a guess.
Just a guess. Oh, thank
Yeah.
Kaylee, I want to know your journey on how you became a graduating senior. It's incredible to me to think that you're graduating and that you're moving on from here. How did you get connected to LSM?
From my sister.
Yeah.
I liked it at first, but I was like really nervous at the same exact time.
You were nervous. What made you get over those nervousness?
Talking to people.
And starting to get connected with people. Kayla, that's awesome. And I know a lot of people who maybe even watching now, who are just trying to figure out youth group are in your shoes. Somebody is like, I'm too nervous. I don't know anybody. I've only known from the online platform. And yet you, Kaylee, were brave enough because your sister, I'm assuming, because I know Maddie, I'm assuming just kept pestering you to come. Am I right?
Yeah.
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 Maddie, are you by the video right now?
Yeah.
Hey, Maddie.
Hi.
That's all I want to do. But because of somebody like Maddie, she invited you, she kept bothering you, and you finally came. Kaylee, I'm so glad that you're part of our families, and I'm so glad that we get to be part of this journey together. Thanks for being a role model in that. Are you ready to play a game with me? Alrighty, Kaylee. This game is called Weird World Records. We're gonna have some conversations about this, but I'm gonna show you a weird world record, and you're gonna have to decide if the world record that I give you is either true or false. Pretty simple, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Here we go. Here's your first one. The largest rubber band ball in the world weighs over 9,000 pounds. And by the way, if you're watching on live stream, go ahead and comment below. Let's see if you are right compared to Kaylee. Kaylee, give me your thoughts. Do you think that's too heavy? Too light?
False.
You say it's false?
Yes.
The answer is, sorry, it's true.
It's true?
That is a 9,000 pound rubber band ball. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, that's crazy.
That's crazy. My question is, like, how do you find rubber bands that big? But that's a conversation for another time. Here's your next question. A woman in Kentucky has fingernails that total over 20 feet long. Is that true, Kaylee, or is that false?
True.
Why do you say it's true? Because that's pretty gross.
I know. Because I've seen it.
You really think someone has that?
I don't know, maybe. Oh my God.
You are correct. That is super gross!
That is disgusting.
That is pretty gross. Could you live your life having 28 feet long fingernails?
No.
I don't even know. How do you eat? How do you even function with your hands by having those fingernails?
I don't know, but they need to cut them.
They need to cut them. All right, here's your next question. The world record for the most t-shirts worn at one time is 79. Is that true or is that false?
True.
True? The answer is false. Actually, the world record was 127. That's a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
That's a crazy amount of t-shirts. I get hot just wearing a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, let alone 227 t-shirts.
Well, you know, if it's cold outside and you don't have a jacket.
You just bundle up.
Yeah.
Kaylee, this is why you're a smart cookie. Here's your next question. The world record for the longest beard is almost 8 feet long. Oh, this world record speaks to my heart.
True.
You say that's true? The answer is true. Oh, I don't know if I'd actually want that. I'd be tripping over my beard all the time. But then again, I definitely need one because I'm balding up here and I need to do a beard comb over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. Wait, you're saying, yeah, I am balding? Is that what you're saying, Kaylee?
No.
I kid. Let's move to the next one. I think this is one of our last ones. The heaviest weighted pole with an eye socket is 300 pounds. True or false?
Probably true. I would say true.
You're gonna say true? Here it is. It's false. It's actually 907 pounds. That is super gross.
Yeah, that is disgusting.
I mean, just look at that. Don't. If you're watching this live stream, don't try this. That's gross.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that world record. Who are you? Who decides, like, let's try this? I want to see if I can pull weight with my eyelids. That's gross. Haley, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being with us. And we hope to see you again. But until next time, we will see you later, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Alrighty, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that segment. I went back into the machine and I wanted to see, did I accidentally fix it, like Keaton is suggesting? No. They legitly won 3 random times. And I was like, no, we're going to make this correct. So I've got it on my back screen over here. We're going to spin again. I've deleted Margie and the family off this list. There's a whole new list back there. Here it is. Got all these people. The winner is... Oh, snap. Maddie and Kaylee. What a perfect segment. Right from thank you, Kaylee, for coming on with us. I'm delivering you a pizza as well. So congratulations. We are moving right into pizzas, giving away pizzas. Why not? Pizza, pizza, pizza. How do you transition from an excitement like that into a time of worship? There's no exciting way than just say, worship should be a celebration. And so what we say here at Linwood Student Ministries, we say his love has always been greater, that you've been made for greater things. And so with that, let's remind ourselves that when we worship isn't just singing songs, getting together and get the warm, fuzzy feelings. It's actually allowing God to intercede into our hearts. And so when we worship, we listen, we receive the word that's being bestowed upon us, and then we take those words into action. Pastor Jana from Grace Point is going to be speaking to us in this Brave series that our district's going through. And in this time, there might be some time for some responses. You can comment there. But let's clear the chats. Let's get our pen and paper out. Let's get our Bibles out. Take some time now. Get that ready to go. And let's worship together. Let's receive the word, what it means to be brave enough to worship. Let's do this.
Hi everyone, welcome I'm glad that you're here. I am Pastor Jana. I am the Student Ministry Worship Pastor up at Grace Point in Brookings, South Dakota. And I'm so glad that you are tuning in tonight for week 6 as we continue in this series called Brave. And so I want to take just a minute at the beginning, like we've done every single week, to shout out all of those youth groups that are here to say, welcome, we're glad that you're here. And so we've got Trailhead Youth in Buffalo with Pastor Stephen. We've got New Life Youth in Gillette with Pastor Sarah. Congrats on having a baby recently. We're all super excited for you. We've got Thrive Youth in Mitchell with Renee. Countryside Youth in Spearfish with Pastor Jamie. LifeSpring Youth in Sturgis with Pastor Ryan. Linwood Student Ministry in Sioux Falls with Pastor Zach. Ransom Teens in Sioux Falls as well with Pastor Riley and the residents. And then Grace Point Student Ministries up here in Brookings with Pastor Sean, Brennan, and myself. And so maybe you're not from one of those youth groups. Let me stop and say that. If you're not from one of those youth groups, if you just found this video, if you're tuning in, you've been watching with us because you've got some type of connection, we are glad that you are here as well. We're glad that all of you are here. I'm so excited to be here with you tonight or today or whenever you get the chance to watch us to continue in this series. And so real quick, I want to start with a quick recap of what the last 6 weeks have looked like to help us to remember, to get back in the mindset before we dive in with our content for tonight. And so in week 1, we heard from Pastor Riley at the Ransom, and he shared about surrender, being brave enough to surrender. In week 2, Pastor Sean here from Grace Point talked about being brave enough to testify, to share your testimony with the people around you. Week 3, Pastor Josie from the Ransom as well, she talked about being brave enough to serve. In week 4, Pastor Zach from Linwood talked about being brave enough to pray. And then last week, you either got to hear from a volunteer from your youth group, your own youth pastor, or maybe you tuned in to the Ransom and you heard from Julia as she shared, or maybe you watched here at Grace Point and you heard from Josh, heard from these awesome volunteers who shared about either their testimony or continued in the content of what this series was. And so we've had a great 6 weeks, and I'm super excited to be here with you. We have a few more weeks left before we end out this school year, and the summer looks different for all of us. But so tonight we're gonna look at this question, being brave enough to worship. And I wanted to start by giving a quick definition of the word worship, because it's kind of a tough word. It can mean a lot of different things to different people in different places, and we use the word all the time, and a lot of time we don't really understand what it means. So a quick, straightforward definition of worship, it means to show reverence, adoration, or ascribe worth to something. And so as Christians, we believe that true worship does those things, shows reverence, awe, adoration, praise, ascribes worth to God and God alone, and that's what we call worship. But even in that, you're saying, okay, well, there's still a lot of things that we call worship, because there's a lot of ways that we express our worship. Actually, all of the things we've been talking about over the last 6 weeks are ways that we express our worship. In our surrender, our testimony, our service, our prayer, all of those things are ways that we express worship. And so tonight, to get some tangible, to get down to what we're really talking about, I'm talking about when we gather as the church together to worship on a Sunday or a Wednesday, the things that take place in our service, when we gather together, that corporate worship gathering is what I'm talking about, and we can even get down a little bit more specifically into that music portion of that and what we do. And I wanted to look at 4 key mistakes that we make in worship, either that come from a lack of understanding or doing or saying things that maybe aren't what we intend to or what we should. And so in these 4 mistakes, as I lay them out, I'm also going to give you a challenge, a brave enough statement to help you to process this, to kind of take stock of your own life and how you engage in worship. So we're going to dive right in to this content of being brave enough to worship. So the first mistake we're going to look at sets the groundwork for all the other mistakes. It's kind of what is like the core problem of it all. And it's this, it's that we don't understand why we worship. That's the first mistake we make, is we don't understand why we worship. And that's why I started with a definition to help us to first understand the word, so then we can get into why we don't understand it and why that affects what we do when we gather together. Think about it. If you've first come to church for the first time recently, or if you've gone to a new church at any point in time, when you come into that church, people start kind of doing things, and it can be kind of weird and new, and you don't really know what's going on. And that is an expression of our worship that shows that a lot of time we don't understand why we do it. And so I think to understand why we make this mistake of not knowing why we worship, we have to stop and we have to look at the very first account of worship that we have in Scripture. And that's in Genesis. The very first expression of worship is actually God when He created all things. He created all of the earth, all of the galaxy, the things that we see and are unseen, and He created us as an act of worship, of expressing, of showing His glory. He was doing it to show His power and His might and His awe and who He is, so that we could exist and delight in being created in that way and being worshiped, but then also so that we can learn to worship Him in return. And so our entire purpose of being is to worship God, is to show His glory, His honor, His worth, His power. And when we show God's worth in all that we do, when we live out of that identity, that idea of being worship our very selves, it affects what we then do when we gather together as worship, and when we do these specific things that we've declared or be our expressions of worship. And so that's the first mistake we make, is that we don't understand why we worship, and it actually feeds into the other three mistakes I'm going to talk about, and they kind of take it a step further. And so this second mistake that we often make is that we don't understand God's role in worship, and then we don't understand our role in worship. And so knowing that, okay, the reason we worship is because we were created to do it, well, then we say, okay, well, what's God's role in it? Because obviously He's part of it. Like, it's not just us, but God's there. What's His role, and then what's our role? And I think there's two key things that God does in worship. The first is this, is that He invites us. God actually invites us to worship. You're only here watching this video tonight because God invited you here, because He put the idea in your mind, or He stirred in your heart to watch, or maybe you randomly came across this video, and I don't think that's random at all. I think God intentionally made it come through your screen or wherever you're at, so that you could worship Him tonight. But then when we gather as the church together in person, when we're able to do that, it's the same thing. God invites us to come into this place and to be part of what He's doing. And so first and foremost, God invites us. And then the second thing that He does is then He reveals Himself to us. He shows who He is, and this can be in a variety of different ways for different people. Sometimes it's in the music and how it moves people. Often it's in the lyrics and what we say. It's in the Bible as we read it together. It's in the word that the pastor or the teacher brings that God's given them. Sometimes people will audibly hear the voice of God, or other times they'll feel Him, touch Him. There's lots of different ways that God reveals Himself to us, to each of us individually, as we need to see Him and experience Him. And so God invites us, He reveals Himself to us, and then in the third thing that happens, that's actually our role of what we're supposed to do, and it's really simple. We're just supposed to respond to what God has done, how He's invited us in, and how He's revealed Himself to us. And again, that can be in a variety of ways, as we sing songs, as we read Scripture, as we pray, surrender, serve, share your testimony. All of these things are ways that we respond to God and how He's revealed Himself to us. But there's even in this another kind of subtle mistake that we make in not knowing our role or what God's role is. We get caught up in what our response actually is supposed to look like. Think about it. I talked about how if you've ever come into the church for the first time or visited a new church, there's kind of subtle things that everyone does that they all seem to know, like this is what we do, but if you're new and you're not been a part of that, it doesn't make sense, or you don't know and you feel uncomfortable. And it's because as a creation, as human beings, we have this tendency to put norms and kind of how things are supposed to work on pretty much everything we do. I mean, it can be in how you interact with your classmates at school, how you walk down the hallway, how your family does things. I mean, you probably all have select seats around the table or at the couch that you just know that that's where you sit, but you never said it out or talked about it. And the church, we can be the same way. Each church can have its own culture of how we express our worship and what it looks like. And that's not inherently bad, but sometimes for us, what happens is we get caught up in what our response is supposed to look like to the people around us, instead of focusing on how are we responding to God. We can do things in our worship that are actually contrary to our actual true heart and expression of worship because we're worried about the people around us. So my challenge for you then is to keeping in mind why we worship, keeping in mind God's roles, and then our role is, are you going to be brave enough to break the status quo? Are you going to be brave enough to say, I'm going to worship God with all that I have, regardless of what other people think of me, and regardless of what fear and insecurity I may have about it, because I'm going to truly worship God. And I think that there's one big story of where this happens, and it's in 2 Samuel when King David, he gets this opportunity to worship God, and he does it out in public, and he's free, and he's dancing, and he took off his clothes, which I don't recommend you do, but he's expressing to God a worship, a praise, and honor to him in a way that's a true representation of his heart, and he actually gets ridiculed for it. In 2 Samuel 6:20, his wife calls him out. She says, why do you do this? You look ridiculous. You're being silly. And this is his response. He says, I did this before the Lord, who chose me rather than your father or anyone from his house when he appointed me ruler over the Lord's people Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. He says, hey, I know that what I did looked weird, but God invited me into this place. He revealed himself to me, and I'm going to respond, and I'm going to worship him, and I'm going to become even more undignified. I'm going to look even sillier. I'm going to look even more ridiculous as I praise and I honor him. And so that challenge for us then is, are we going to break the status quo of what the norm is in our setting to truly worship God instead of worrying about everyone else around us and what they think of us? Continuing on, the third mistake then that we make in worship is that we don't prepare our hearts and minds before coming into worship. We're really bad as people, and we make jokes about it and we laugh about it all the time of coming to church distracted. You know, maybe you're coming to youth after a long day of school and you've got a lot of homework and you're thinking about what you have to do, or maybe there's going to be a cute boy or girl there that you're excited to see, or your friend that you just want to see, or you know, who knows what myriad of things could be on your mind when you come to church and we're distracted. And it's easy to come in and kind of, you know, depending on what your church service looks like, to kind of wait a little while, or, you know, wait till the first song's over, or wait till we even get into the message sometimes to really like put everything aside and focus in on being there with God. But the challenge is the point of why we come, again, is to worship God, to give him praise, to give him honor, and we want to do that well. And so then a problem that we have in the midst of this is that distractions, they cause us to go into an autopilot mode. When our minds are full of everything other than God, and we know we've been a part of those social norms, we know what that status quo, what that culture looks like, so it's easy to just come in and to just do it. And no one else knows that there's 1,000 things going on inside of our mind, and we're not really fully there, we're not really paying attention, but we know what we're supposed to do with our body and our mouths and how to seem like we're there when we're really not. But I think this is not what God desires for us. I know it's not what God desires for us, is this distracted, this autopilot mode, because he gives this word to the writer of Hebrews. And Hebrews is this book in the New Testament that was written to the early Christians, to the early church. It was giving them instructions on how to be the church. It was empowering them to press on when they were facing persecution. But the writer talks about worship in this sense. It says this, chapter 12, verse 28, it says, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God with acceptably with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. It says, because God invited us into this thing, because he's brought us into his kingdom, he's adopted us as sons and daughters, we are to worship him acceptably, specifically with thankfulness, with reverence and awe. Again, going back to that definition of worship, the writer says, God wants your worship to be acceptable and pleasing. He doesn't want it to be distracted or on autopilot or disengaged. He wants you to be fully there and present with him. And I know that right now, the season that we're in with being quarantined and with doing church online, this gets even harder. Because it's even harder to be fully present, to be fully in tune, less distracted when you're watching from your phone or your computer or TV, when you're sitting on your couch, when maybe you're wearing your pajamas because you're already settled in for the day or you never took them off. It's so much harder in this time to fully be engaged and to worship God with an acceptable, intentional heart. And so I think for us, this is even a bigger act of bravery to say, hey, I'm going to not be complacent in this time, but I'm going to actually intentionally pursue honoring God with my worship when I watch my church online, when I'm with my family. I'm going to, get up off the couch, again, break the status quo. I'm going to stand and I'm going to worship and I'm going to praise God and I'm going to sing loud for all to hear. Whatever you need to do to express your worship, again, is what God desires for you to do, but he wants you to turn off the autopilot, to remove the distractions. And so that's the challenge I give. Are you brave enough to turn off the autopilot? Then the last and final mistake that I'm going to talk about tonight, and there's probably a ton more that we could dive into and do a whole series about, but the last one that I'm going to talk about tonight is this. It's that we make the mistake of expecting to get something out of worship, or for worship to be about us in layman's terms. And so if we stop and we think about, okay, what was that definition of worship? Why do we worship? What's God's role? What's our role? What's God's desire for our hearts in worship? To turn off the autopilot, to not be distracted. It's like, okay, this makes perfect sense. This goes in line with that. It's that it's not about us. We think so often, I need to get something out of worship, or the song needs to speak to me, and it's all about me, me, me. And I want you to hear me clearly, because what I'm not saying is that, oh, God doesn't speak to you, because obviously he does. We already talked about what his role in worship is, to invite and reveal. And God does talk to us. He does teach us. We do have experiences in worship that leave us changed and leave us moved. But when we go in with the mindset that it's all about me, it's all about what I want and what I desire, we're adding more distractions into the factor and keeping ourselves from truly worshiping. And I think actually what's happening in that mindset, in that moment, that's actually Satan. I think coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to distract in any way I can these people from truly worshiping God, because that's his ultimate goal. So he gives us these ideas in our mind of what it's supposed to be like, of what we're supposed to get. And he keeps us in that mindset of saying, what am I supposed to get from God? Instead of asking the question, what am I supposed to give to God? And so part of combating this mistake of truly worshiping and being better is to prepare our hearts for worship early and laying aside our preferences and our desires. That means that when we come to worship, we don't come with the focus of hearing any other voice than God's. We don't want to hear any other man's, woman's voice. We want to hear the voice of God. So we don't come expecting or desiring to hear our pastor, even if he or she is super awesome and they're a great speaker and we love them. We don't come just to hear them. We don't come to hear that amazing singer who's gonna sing those high notes and belt it out and just be super awesome, and they're so cool. We don't come to hear them. Or we don't come to hear our favorite song that we've had on repeat all week long on the radio that we just love and it touches our hearts. Those are all good things, but they're not the purpose, they're not intention of why we come to worship. Let me take it in a different direction, an opposite direction. We don't disengage in worship if we don't like the pastor who's speaking, or we don't like the songs that are being led. We don't just check out and say, well, I didn't like that, or that preacher didn't say anything inspiring that day, so I didn't get anything out of it. That's not why we're here. We're not here to hear the voices of men or women. We're here to hear the voice of God. And he will reveal himself in so many ways if we just open up and let him speak. And so my challenge for you in this is, are you brave enough to give up your preferences in worship? I'll repeat those. Are you brave enough to shift out of autopilot, to turn off autopilot, to break the status quo? And are you brave enough to give up your preferences and your desires as we learn how to truly honor and worship God in all that we do? And so those are 4 key mistakes I think that we make when we talk about being about worship. And there's, again, so much more that we could talk about. And I want to encourage you in this season of worship looking very, very different, to try to press into these things, to ask yourself, how have I done good in these areas? How have I done bad? Where has my mindset about worship been wrong and what I've been thinking or feeling about it? And how can I change that? And I encourage you to take some time this week to pray and to ask God, hey, how can I worship you better? What do you desire from me? Where have I been distracted? Where have I put my preferences above you and what you want to say and what you want to do? And where have I not responded well? And I think that God will honor you in that question, to not only be forgiving. This isn't about being like, oh, I make all these mistakes and now I need to be hard on myself. But it's no, like, God is forgiving and he wants you to learn how to do this right. And we're all in a process of learning how to do this. I'm 25 years old and I've been working in the church for a couple years and I've been worshiping all my life, and I still do this wrong all the time. There's still times when I come to church distracted and I have to remind myself, oh, you need to focus in. You need to be here to hear the voice of God. And so don't beat up on yourself if you've made these mistakes, because we all have. But it's being aware and learning how to grow as worshipers, as people of God. So we love you guys. We miss being with you in person. We wish that we could. We're hoping that soon we can do that again. But we're glad that we still get to connect through this series, through Brave, through learning to be brave enough to surrender, brave enough to testify, to serve, to pray, and to worship. So let me pray for you guys before we go this week, and before you continue in worshiping in all these different ways in your life. And hopefully on Sunday or next Wednesday or whenever you get the chance, you'll get to gather with your church and worship. And I pray that you have these things on your mind of understanding worship a little bit more. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much that we get to connect in this way. That even though we don't get to meet in person, that's not just the end. That's not just, oh, bye, we don't get to see each other for who knows how long, but that you've given us the amazing opportunity to continue to be able to connect online. That you've given us the opportunity to gather together as churches, as people, to do this series together so that we can learn and grow all together and encourage and empower each other. I pray for each one of these students that's watching tonight, that they would feel empowered through this conversation about worship, through understanding what your heart and what your desire for our worship is, that you would show them that they are loved, that they are valued, that you are thankful for them and who they are and their worship that they've given you over time. And I pray that they'd be challenged in a little bit of ways to maybe press into worshiping you better, because we can all learn how to do it better. We can all honor you and glorify you and ascribe worth to you better each and every day. So I pray your hand of protection over every single one of these students, that you'll be with them, care for them, protect them, help them to see your presence in all the things that you do and that they do. And it's in your heavenly name that we pray. Have a great week, guys. Love you and miss you.
This is why I'm so passionate about our student ministries. This is why I'm so passionate about the church. That a message like what Pastor Jana just gave us can not only just speak to our hearts, but just break it, to reveal some things that we need to be revealed in our lives. What an amen to that. So when we worship, when we're singing songs, let's take into consideration what Jana is saying. And let's worship together. You can see a worship bumper video. It's intentionally quiet. There's nothing wrong with the sound. but it's your opportunity to read it and to meditate over it. Will you take that time as we worship together? Hello, this is Zach. Yeah. Okay, then you need the, you ready? 4601 South Kyle Avenue, Sioux Falls 57103. Thank you so much. Bye.
When the music fades, all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's of worth, that will bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it, when it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. King of endless worth, no one could express how much you deserve. Though I'm weak and poor, all I have is yours, every single breath. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. It's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. How great the chasm that lay between us.
Amen. Amen to that. Just a celebration of worship. I'm thankful that we can push pause on our Wednesday to do that. And maybe you've been challenged through this message. I need to get back into the heart of worship. I need to be able to be interceded by God, and I'm just not doing that. I'm not being fed because I'm not allowing myself to come before the throne. I'm allowing obstacles to come in my way. And if that is you, which I hope I'm speaking to everybody, this challenge should be specifically meant for you. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. My challenge this week is to have a personal worship experience. I'm not talking about having a worship experience that conveniently happens at Sunday mornings, or a worship experience that conveniently happens right before you eat dinner, or a worship experience that's convenient right before youth group. I'm talking about you set a time to have a personal worship experience. One of the ways that I best connect with God is in the woods. Take a hike, or I go running. Whatever it is, I'm able to connect with God during those times. And maybe you need to find your personal worship experience. You need help? Here's one of the ways that I do it. I put headphones in, and I just listen to our LSM worship playlist. Bunch of songs that we've sang here at youth group, free. Download it. If you don't have Spotify and you have this on your screen right now, you can take a screenshot of this. You can use your phone, scan the QR code with your camera. Whatever it is, take this, use it. And don't just sing the songs. In fact, actually, I do the opposite sometimes. I allow the words to marinate within me. I listen and I hear and I receive the words. Will you do that this week? And actually, let me know if you do that. Take a picture saying, hey, I'm going on a walk, or I'm in my backyard, I'm sitting in a hammock, whatever it is. I want to know how you are having a personal worship experience. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one last LSM Live before we conclude for the summer break. Next week is the big finale, and I hope to see you there. Before you leave, I want to tell you that I'm thankful to being your youth pastor. His love has always been greater, and you've been made for greater things. As we conclude and land the plane, will you do me a favor, though? Will you shout out to somebody in the comment section and just love on them and care for them? Until then, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for being amazing, everybody.